Medical imaging is evolving at this incredible pace, and AI is really pushing it into a whole new dimension. Today, we're going to dive into a groundbreaking model that's setting a completely new standard for how AI sees inside the human body. And trust me, it has a name you won't forget. So first off, you just gotta appreciate the name, Mamba Goes HoME. It's catchy for sure, but what's really cool is that behind this clever title is a seriously powerful new architecture. It's designed to solve one of the toughest challenges in medical AI. So what exactly is it trying to fix? Well, the whole challenge is something called 3D medical image segmentation. Basically, it's the process of teaching an AI to identify and outline specific things, like organs, tumors, or different tissues inside a really complex 3D scan, like a CT or an MRI. And getting this right, it's absolutely critical for everything from diagnosing diseases to planning surgeries and even targeting radiation therapy with pinpoint accuracy. But here's the problem. It is incredibly difficult for an AI to do this well. You see, current models often struggle to see both the fine, tiny details, like the exact edge of a tiny lesion, and the big picture. Understanding how that lesion fits within the larger organ and all the anatomy around it. And this is where we hit this fundamental trade-off that researchers have been stuck with. On one hand, you've got these models called convolutional neural networks, or CNNs. Think of them like a microscope. They are fantastic at seeing tiny local details, but they have a really narrow field of view, so they totally miss the global context. Then on the other hand, you have vision transformers, or VITs. These are more like telescopes. They're great at seeing the big picture, but they demand so much computational power that they're just not practical for these super high-resolution 3D scans. So, you see the gap, right? The holy grail here is to find a model that can do both, capture those tiny details, and understand the global structure, all while being efficient enough to actually be used in a real hospital. And that is exactly where our hero comes in. Mamba Goes HoME is a brand new architecture specifically engineered to bridge this exact gap, delivering on both efficiency and precision. So let's break down that name. The Mamba part, that comes from a new type of model that's incredibly efficient at processing long sequences of data, kind of like the layers of a 3D scan. And HoME, that stands for Hierarchical Soft Mixture-of-Experts, which is a really clever way of organizing the model's intelligence. Put them together and you get a system that's both super fast and incredibly smart. Okay, so this hierarchy of experts, how does it actually work? This is where the real magic happens, because the model learns to route information like a brilliant logistics manager. The core idea is called a mixture of experts, or MOE. The best way to think about it is like a hospital's referral system, right? Instead of one general doctor trying to solve every single problem, an MOE system has lots of specialized experts. It intelligently sends each little piece of the data to the specific expert that's best equipped to handle it. Maybe one's a specialist in tissue boundaries, while another's great at recognizing organ shapes. Mamba HoME takes this concept and adds another layer of genius with a two-level hierarchy. First, it chops up the image data into small local groups. Those groups get sent to local experts that just focus on the fine details in that one little area. Then, the findings from all these local experts are gathered up and sent to a second level of global experts who piece it all together to understand the full picture. And this diagram just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you can see the scan data coming in. It gets sent to Router 1, which is basically a dispatcher, sending different parts of the image to those specialized local experts. Once they do their thing, their findings get merged and sent over to Router 2. This second router looks at the bigger picture, handling the global context by combining all those local insights. It's just a really elegant way to see both the trees and the forest at the same time. Okay, a clever design is one thing, but does it actually work? Performance is everything. So let's see how Mamba HoME really stacks up against the competition. Time to look at the results. And wow, the numbers really do speak for themselves here. If you look at the AMOS dataset, which is a major benchmark in the field, Mamba HoME gets a higher accuracy score than other leading models like Swin Unitar and even its own predecessor, SegMamba. That 87.3%, that represents a pretty significant leap in precision. And this wasn't just a fluke on one dataset, not at all. The model consistently outperformed its rivals across 4 major public datasets, and this covered CT, MRI, and even really tricky 3D ultrasound scans. It excelled in multiple accuracy metrics, and this is huge. It did all this while keeping its GPU memory usage low. That is essential if you ever want to deploy this tech in actual hospitals.
But you don't have to just trust the numbers. I mean, just look at the actual segmentations. On the left, you can see how Mamba HoME's outlines are so much cleaner and more accurate compared to the other top methods. And on the right, it's totally clear how pre-training the model makes its performance even better, with these really sharp, confident boundaries. So this isn't just a numbers game. The visual quality itself is a huge step up. So, let's zoom out. What does all of this mean for the future of medicine? Because this isn't just some abstract academic exercise. This kind of advancement has profound real-world implications. We're talking about more accurate tumor detection, which lets doctors track growth with much higher confidence. It means enhanced surgical planning, where surgeons can have a perfect 3D map of a patient's anatomy before they even make an incision. And it means better radiotherapy, precisely targeting cancer cells while sparing all the healthy tissue around them. This is a massive step toward true AI-assisted precision medicine. You know, the researchers themselves really nailed it in their conclusion, calling it a step forward in efficient, interpretable, and scalable 3D medical AI. And those three words, efficient, interpretable, and scalable, those are the absolute keys to taking AI out of the research lab and putting it into the hands of doctors to actually improve patient outcomes. This work really pushes us closer to a future where AI can analyze these complex medical scans with a level of detail and understanding that we just thought was impossible before. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. What really becomes possible when our technology can finally see the invisible with perfect clarity?